to another R&D Garage video. I want to give a warm welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. And of course, everybody who's been there since the beginning and who joined along the way, thank you so much for sticking by me. So before I talk about Blueberry, I want to say I absolutely love this shirt. My friend FJC Club on Instagram was like, hey Rach, you want a shirt? And I was like, of course I do. And it is so soft and so comfortable that I'm actually considering getting one an extra large to use as a sleep shirt. So thank you, FJC Club. Appreciate you so much. Go follow them. Okay, so today we are working on Blueberry, my 1998 Supersonic Blue Integra GSR, and we are doing the axles. So we're getting so close to finishing her. She still looks like crap on the outside, on, well, one side, but I'm so looking forward to driving her again. Just, my little unicorn girl. So you know what? Let's get started. Okay guys, so before we actually put the axle in, the first thing you need to do is actually put a little bit of Honda grease, this stuff right here, and you're going to put it on the splines and anywhere the seal makes contact, and this is on the inner side right there. And then from there, you'll notice that I kind of bungeed the brakes back here. This is just to kind of get it out of the way. I highly recommend if you don't have a friend helping you. And then once you push in, there's obviously, a hole where you put the axle in. Kind of compress, lift up, slide it in, compress, and it's a little bit harder now that it's already in. But you're going to take your hammer and just kind of tap a few times until it is in, and then you can just hang it loose. Now, this probably isn't like the authorized way to do this with the hammer, but honestly, I can't really think of another way to do it offhand. And as long as you're gentle and you're not banging so that, stuff gets messed up, you should be okay. Hey guys. Okay, so you'll notice that the brakes are like kind of swinging free. And this is because they're not attached to the lower control arm right now. So we are going to attach or actually put the shaft through the hub hole. So before you do that, make sure you grease the splines and also kind of clean out the hub area right here because, she's an Integra, she's not an FJ. We want her kind of clean. Okay, and once that's done, we're going to go ahead and kind of lift up and compress a little bit. And this is kind of an awkward position. There we go. So you want to make sure also that you're not disconnecting the other side at the same time you do this. And so let me make sure it's actually going in, which it is, but it's still kind of an awkward position. And so now we're going to lift and wiggle a little bit. Perfect. You guys hear that slide in? Okay, we're going to move on. Okay guys, it's strut fork time. So this is kind of one of my least favorite things, only because this is like one of those goofy puzzles where sometimes it kind of fits in, and sometimes you know exactly how to put it in and it goes in perfectly, and other times you have to struggle with it and it gets a little fiddly. So I'm going to show you exactly how to put this on. So where it goes, you have to kind of slide it through here first. If you guys see this up here, there's a notch, and that's exactly on which side that these two bolt holes are going to basically cover. So the bolt actually, once it's passed, when it goes through the strut fork here, it's going to be hugging that side. The bolt is actually going to be rubbing against that notch. So it's super important that you get those two lined up. Okay, prayers and pray to the Integra gods. Let's try this out. So I found it's easiest when you kind of not do that. Okay, so like I said, this is a little bit fiddly. Okay, so we've got this part. Now it's going in. Okay, so yes. Okay, you guys see the bolt holes match on the bottom here, but guess what? We got to fit this round part up in here. And so this is the part where it kind of sucks. And if you have help, there you go. You can kind of push the brakes out of the way and help it slide in. And again, it's very, very fiddly. Come on. Come on, guy. And so it's a lot of, there you go. If you get underneath it, it's a lot easier. I was kind of doing it from the side, so. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna line up this guy again. Okay, so we are pretty much into place. I'm gonna go grab the bolts. Okay, so my fork is in, but it's not in all the way. And this is super important because right when we're gonna put in our 14mm bolt, it absolutely has to be not only all the way at the top, but the bottom should be mostly aligned too, or else that bolt is not gonna work. So, okay, so that's at the top. I'm gonna do it like that, so that's kind of lined up. And then with my other hand, I shall perform a magic trick of putting in the bolt. There you go. And remember to turn towards you. It's like one of those things when you're working backwards. Okay, beautiful. So this screw or bolt is all the way in. And now I'm gonna go ahead and ratchet it. And you're definitely gonna want an extension. And watch your head on basically everything. Perfect, so that's nice and tight. And we are going to move on to the bottom half now. Okay, so slight PSA. If your ball joint isn't in perfectly straight, you aren't doing anything with any bolts after that. Okay, so now I made sure this is perfectly straight. And now I like to take my awl and stick it basically through the bolt holes here. And before I take it out, I'm gonna make sure that it's exactly where it needs to be with one hand. And I lost my bolt. Where's my bolt? So this is 17mm, and there we go. Perfect. So you may need to push, you may need to tap a little bit with your hammer, but the bolt is now basically in. So this is great. I'm just gonna bang it in the rest of the way and put on the nut. Perfect. So you see it popped out the other side. Go ahead, put on the nut. This is like a weird, weird angle for me. Come on. I hate that. There we go. Okay, we're gonna move on now. Okay, now we're gonna put the castle nut on the ball joint stud. And it's called a castle because look, it looks like a little turret right here. So, and there's actually a reason for that. You see that little hole right there? We gotta get those to line up. But first we're just gonna put on the nut, and I'm gonna explain in another second once it's on. So make sure it lines up straight. Oops, not like that. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna ratchet it on so that it's nice and tight. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and torque. And this can be torqued to 36 foot-pounds, which we're gonna do it first. And then we're gonna try to align, which is why they actually give a range for this torque measurement. So it can go from 36, which you always wanna do first, all the way up to 42 foot-pounds. So swap out the socket here. There we go. And so first we're going to do 36. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to come along and you'll notice that it's basically not lined up so you can see the hole. This is not good. So what we're going to do is basically torque it again, but we're gonna readjust to the next size up until we can stick this through the hole. Okay, so my bad a little bit here. So I was just thinking front to back hole, but actually on this one there's also side to side, which is perfect because I happen to get it perfectly into place. You see my little awl fits right in. So I ended up just torquing it to 36 foot-pounds. But again, if you do need to adjust, you can adjust all the way to 42 foot-pounds and be perfectly fine. So I'm gonna pull this all out now, and I'm gonna insert my cotter pin. So you remember the long length, basically that's what you want it to look like to go in. So we're gonna stick it in the hole. And the first thing we're gonna do is grab our pliers and hold it basically still in so it's tight. Grab this, bend straight down, and twist it. And I'm using kind of my stupid hand right now, but come on. There we go. But you guys see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. And I'll just kind of end it up like that, and then I'll just kind of hammer it a little bit. And this one pushes straight up, which again, I'm going to use this guy. And you guys have seen me do this a lot on the FJ as well. And so we're going to push that up, and we're going to hammer it as well. So basically, this is kind of a, oh, he did provide me with a hammer. Never mind. I was going to tell you guys to picture it, but now I can actually do it. There we go, so that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna give it a slight. And one more time over here, without hurting yourself, and we're good to go. Alrighty, it is hub nut time. So what we're gonna do here, basically the weight of the car needs to be on it to be torqued, and also the torque amount, I think is about 136 foot-pounds, which obviously I'm not even gonna try to do while the car is in the air. So what I'm gonna do is put on the hub nut, hit it with the ugga-dugga for just like a couple of rounds, not so that it's super tight, but just so that it holds on. And then once the car is on the ground, I can go ahead, reach through the rim itself and go ahead and tighten all the way, torque it down. So, okay, let's get started. Okay, so that is nice and finger tight. And now, just to make sure, and this is the heavy guy, and he is, yes, perfect. Okay. And I'm gonna leave it like that, with Dion cringing in the background. Okay, so you always want to use a new hub nut when you're replacing anything. So, okay, so we replaced the hub nuts. They're torqued down now to 134 foot-pounds, which I had Dion do. And after that, go ahead and stake the nut. So basically, come in with the pry, bang, you're good. Now, see, as you can see, it's super simple to reach through the rim here and take care of business. Alternatively, if the car is still up in the air like this, you can have a friend sit, hold the brake pedal down to keep everything from moving, or use a third hand tool. So, put that on the brake, and there you go again. This to me is kind of just the easiest way to do it. And as long as the weight is down on the tires now, everything, I can go inside and torque everything up that we didn't do while I was inside. So let's do that. Okay, now that the weight is all the way down, we're gonna go ahead and torque the end link to sway bar nut, which is right here. So to kind of hold it into place, I have a 14mm wrench. The socket is 17mm, and we're torquing to 22 foot-pounds. And yes, I'm super proud of myself for remembering all of that. Perfect. Let's move on. Okay, so on the OEM end link here, you're going to torque it down to 16 foot-pounds. However, since these are aftermarket, I'm just going to go ahead and torque until they're lightly squeezed, the bushings, that is. And also to do this, you're going to want a 12mm wrench on top here to hold it into place, and make sure the top of the end link is actually parallel. That's super important. So I'm going to go ahead, and the bottom here is 17mm. And so go ahead and tighten until it squeezes, again with my stupid hand. But it's good exercise. Okay, and that looks nice and squeezed. Whew, and a cowbell. Okay, time for the shock fork bolt. So you'll see my torque wrench is already into place. It's a 14mm socket and it's 32 foot-pounds. Perfect. And you may have to kind of mess around with this a little bit just because it's in an awkward position. And so that's what I'm working with. There we go. Perfect. Let's move on. Okay guys, so the bottom bolt of the shock fork is 47 foot-pounds to torque. And you're gonna wanna have a 17mm wrench on the other end, on the bolt side of the end, just so it doesn't turn. And let's go. Perfect. Okay guys, I think the job is basically done. I'm gonna recheck everything and be right back. You guys, we are getting so close to the beginning of the end with Blueberry. That's all done. Now we just have to basically bolt back on the exhaust and we can cruise her. I'm so excited. As always, thank you guys so much for watching R&D Garage, for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing. And again, FJC Club, I love you. I love this shirt. Thank you so much. Anybody out there want to send me some t-shirts? I will definitely wear them on the show. Santa Rosa firefighters, anyone? But I'll just wear any of the shirts. Love you guys. I will see you soon with my next video. Take care.